Hey fashion lovers, welcome to Fun Fashion YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with you how to make this stunning trendy asymmetric maxi gown using princess dart. In my previous video, I made this dress using a simple basic bodice method. You can check out the video if you want a simple, quick, easy method. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel and drop me nice comments. Let's get started. These are the fabrics that I'm using for this project. I am using the plain fabric for the bodies, while the floral fabric will be for the skirt. Okay, it is crepe fabric. You can use crepe to achieve this look. You can use ankara to achieve this look. You can also use any other flowy fabric for the skirts, like chiffon for the skirts. Okay, this is 1 yard of plain crepe and then 2.5 yards of this floral fabric. You can use 2 yards or 3 yards depending on how full you want the skirt to be. These are the measurements that we are going to be using for this project: bust circumference, waist circumference, and hip circumference. Waist to hip length, shoulder width, shoulder to under bust length, shoulder to waist length, and then the full length of the dress. We are also going to be needing bust pan, that is nipple to nipple measurement, then the bust point as well. We are going to go into the pattern drafting. I have my pattern paper on the table already, and my pattern paper is on fold. Can you see? I have to draft my pattern on fold so that I can be able to give the bodies the asymmetric shape. I have this line as the shoulder line, the chest line. To get your chest line measurements, divide your bust measurements by 6 plus 1.5. That is the chest line measurement. And this is the bust point, the under bust, the waist, that's the half length, shoulder to waist, and then the waist to hip line. This is my hip line. I also went ahead to mark the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Okay, mine is 7.5. I have marked it down here. So I have 7.5 divided by 2 give me 3.75. And I also marked down my basic neckline. That is 3 inches by 3 inches. To get your basic neckline, divide your bust measurement by 12. Okay, so this is my basic neckline. And then the shoulder slope for the front, I have 1.5 here for the shoulder slope. And I have already marked my armhole curve. You can decide to use basic bodies to get this dress. For mine, I'm going to be using princess seam. I'll come to the under bust line and mark down 2 inches. And then I'll connect it to the bust point. I'll place my curve like so and connect from that under bust line to the hip line. Okay, so this is what I have now. I'll come to the armhole line and get the middle of my armhole from the shoulder slope to the chest line. Okay, and then place my curve like so and connect from my bust point to that middle of my armhole like so. And then from that point, I'm going to mark 1 inch. And I'll also connect that 1 inch to my bust point. I'll have to blend out this curve because I don't want to have any points pointed. I'll mark down my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I'll mark down 9 inches. Then I'll come here and measure what I'm going to be taking off because I'm going to be cutting off these darts. Okay, I'll measure it and replace it. I'll come to the under bust line and divide my under bust measurement by 4. Okay, so my under bust is 28 divided by 4 will give me 7. I'll mark it down. I'll also replace this dart intake. All right, if you are very busty, you can consider taking 2.5 at your under bust instead of 2 inches. Okay, then I'll come to the waistline and mark my waist circumference divided by 4. Okay, and then I'll also replace this dart intake. All right, I'll come to the hip line and mark my hip measurement divided by 4. Okay, so I'm not replacing anything because I am not taking out anything from my hip line. Okay, and I'll come to this second line and replace what I'm supposed to be taking out from here, which is 1 inch. So I'll mark it down and redraw the line. So I have a new armhole line now, because if I cut from here, this line is going to be shorter than this second line. Okay, so this is my new armhole line. So I'm going to go ahead and connect all these points I have here. So I'm going to be marking my side darts. I have side darts of 1 inch because my front half length is 16 while my back half length is 15. Okay, that is my shoulder to waistline. My shoulder to waistline for the front is 16 while my shoulder to waistline for the back is 15. So this is why I have 1 inch here as the side dart. This is the back block. I have already marked down the shoulder line. This is the shoulder line, the chest line, shoulder to waist line, that's the half length, and then the hip line. And my shoulder to waist line, that is my back half length, is 15, while my front half length is 16. Okay, if I close up the side dart at the front, it will make this back and the front length equal. Okay, this is the dart line. That is the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Okay, and on each side of the dart line, I have marked 0.75 and connected to the chest line, as well as 1 inch above the hip line. Okay, I will mark down bust, waist, and hip circumference divided by 4, just like I did for the front, and I will connect. I'll come to the center back and mark in 0.75 for the zipper to lay flat. I don't want my zipper to bulge at the back, so I'm taking in 0.75 from there to make the zipper lay flat. All right, I'll connect to the neckline and then also connect to the hip line. So you can decide to connect this dart to the shoulder or to the armhole. I'm going to be connecting mine to the shoulder. Divide whatever you have left on your shoulder line by 2 and connect that to your dart line. I'll go ahead and cut the back block. Go ahead and cut out the front block like you see me doing in the video. Okay, remember to also close the side darts. All right, and blend the bust point area after closing off the side darts. Okay, so this is what I have now. After closing off the side dart for the front, you will notice that the back length and the front length are now equal by the sides. Okay, can you see? This is the front. I want to tape down these darts, okay, so that I can be able to create the asymmetric shape. Okay, you need to use sellotape for these papers. Gently tape down the princess darts at the front block and also tape down the darts at the back block as well. Now I'm going to determine the kind of curve that I want for my bodice. Okay, you can give it any curve of your choice. If you want something like this, you can give it that shape. Okay, but for mine, I'm going to be having an asymmetric shape. Okay, so I'll come to this waistline and mark down 2 inches. Okay, I want mine to start from 2 inches. Then I'll connect to my hip line. This is my hip line. Okay, so this is the kind of shape that I want. So I'll go ahead and cut now. Place the front block on top of the back block to give the back block that same asymmetric shape. Then you need to label or indicate the front part of the dress by placing the patterns on each other and indicate the right sides with initials. Okay. Then for the neckline, I also have an asymmetric neckline. I have to cut off the basic neckline, then open up the pattern paper so that I can give the pattern the kind of neckline that I want. You can go ahead and give your front block any kind of neckline that you want. I will remove the tapes on the dart lines so that I can place my patterns on my fabric and add allowances. I've added the necessary allowances to my patterns. This is the front block. Okay, I added 1.5 inches by the side as side seam allowance and then ½ inch on all other sides. For the neckline, I did not add any allowance to the neckline. I don't want to add any allowance to my neckline. Then for the back, I also went ahead to add allowances to the back block as well. I marked down 1.5 for the side as well, then ½ inch on the other side. I did not also add any allowance to the neckline. And for the middle of the back, I added 0.75 as the zipper allowance. As you can notice, this material is just one piece because it is an asymmetric dress, and I had to make sure that that part that I indicated, those initials that I gave, is facing on my fabric. I'll go ahead now and cut. I made sure that all the sides that I indicated are facing the fabric. This will be the right side of the fabric. Then this will be the wrong side. This is what the front block looks like after cutting. I have already cut out the lining pieces. Okay, so these are the lining pieces. I will carefully pin down the dart line so that I can join the princess seam line for the front and also join the dart line for the back. So I'll go over to my sewing machine now and join all the darts. Okay, I have joined the dart line with a 1/2 inch that I marked. I also went ahead to install the zipper for the back and the front as well. I have also joined the dart line, the princess seam line, and I had to open press the seam line. Okay, and I went ahead to join the shoulder line. This is what I have. Can you see? I had to close up about 1.5 inches for the zipper. If you want, you can extend your zipper to the skirt, but I don't want to extend my zipper to the skirt. That is why I stopped here. And this is the lining pieces. I have also joined the dart line for the back and pressed the seam lines open. And the front, this is the front. I also went ahead to join the princess seam line. Okay, and the neckline, I had to infuse gum stay as an interfacing for the neckline because I want the neckline to be able to lay flat very well and to be able to stand firm. Okay, that is why I used gum stay as an interfacing for the neckline. So I'll keep the lining pieces aside. I want to join them together by the sides, so I'll bring them together and pin. I'll go ahead and mark the side seam allowance. I have already marked the 1.5 side seam allowance on this side, so I'm going to be marking on this other side. So I've marked the side seam allowance on both sides. I'll go over to the sewing machine now and stitch on this marking. I have stitched on the side seam allowance that I marked. Can you see? I also went ahead to press the seam line open. This is what our top looks like. For the lining pieces, I also stitched the two sides together with 1.5 side seam allowance and the shoulder. I'm going to be turning the neckline with the lining piece. I'll go ahead and pin them together. This is it. After pinning, I'll also pin the zipper area. So I'll pin it down. So I'll go over to my sewing machine now and stitch from one part of the zipper to the neckline, all right, and then to the other part of the zipper. Remember that the right sides of the fabrics are facing each other. The right side of the lining piece and the right side of my main fabric are facing each other. Okay, after joining the lining to the fabric, you need to clip the neckline so that it can lay flat when you flip to the right side. So flip to the right side and go ahead and give it a good press. So this is what the top looks like after stitching. I had to stitch the lining and the main fabric together at the hemline as well as the armhole. I had to stitch them together at the armhole because I'm going to be fixing my sleeve. This is the fabric that I'm using for the skirt. Remember, I have 2.5 yards here. I have to cut the fabric into two. That is that 2.5 yards. I have to divide it into two. And I join them together because my dress will be having joining at the sides. The other side will also have joining as well. So I'll fold the fabric so that I can cut the full length of my dress. So this is my front pattern paper. Remember that on this side, we came down by 2 inches, okay, to create the asymmetric look. So that means that the skirt will be starting from 2 inches below my waist length, okay, and my waist length is 16. So if I should add up these 2 inches, that means I'll have 18 inches. That simply means that my skirt is going to start from 18 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be taking out 18 inches from my tape. That is the top length Then I'll get the full length. So if your full length is more than 62 inches, that means you have to get like 3 years of this crepe fabric. All right. But mine is just 61 inches. So I'm going to be marking 62 inches plus hemming allowance. So I'll take out 18 inches to get 60. And then I'll add extra 2 inches. All right. Then I'm going to cut. So this is what I have as my skirt. The next thing I'm going to do now is to get the top and measure round the top hemline. So that is where I'm going to be joining this skirt. I have 42 inches. So what I'm going to do now is to go over to my sewing machine. I'll run gather stitches and then drag it into the top measurement. I will go ahead and drag the gather stitches to form the gather pleats. If you know how else to form your gather pleats, go ahead and do that. You can equally go for tiny pleats or bold pleats, depending on whatever and however you want it. Also confirm that it is up to the measurement that I want. I have 42 inches here. So what I'm going to do next is to get the top and then pin from that middle part, that is the joining. I'll pin down, okay, with the right sides facing each other. I'll go over to my sewing machine now and stitch round, okay, to join the skirt and the top together. So after joining the skirt to the top, this is what I have. I went ahead to weave the joining. After that, I will bring the dress together to trim the hemline because you will notice that the hemline is not straight. Then I went ahead to fix the sleeves. If you want to know how I made the sleeve, tell me in the comment section and I'll upload the sleeve tutorial. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button if you have not subscribed. Turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. See you in the next one.